Today we are looking at Neotopia. I think it's right side up. And no, this isn't about Neopets, which I definitely thought it was about Neopets, but it's not about Neopets. What's the premise of Neotopia? Well, Neotopia, you are going to expand a city, but you're not going to stop there. You think one city's too friggin' easy. No, you know what's harder? 3 cities. You're going to expand 3 different cities at once, and you're going to get your own specific color of gem in there more than anybody else. You're also going to be completing, I don't know, I guess contracts. Contracts to make the city as beautiful as possible. If you can complete these contracts, well, you'll get points. Keeping in mind that if somebody already created a park, the city's not in demand for a park, you're going to have to wait until they want another park. All of this theme that I just gave you is made up. It's not even in the rule book. I just made it up now. But that's essentially the theme for what is a really solid abstract game, and I think a legitimate contender to something like Azul. Seriously, I think it is a game that surprisingly I thought would work best at 2, and I think it works well at all player counts. So if you're interested in that sort of abstract game, stick around, or just, trust me on it and leave. You've gotten your 2 minutes of video. What else could I possibly provide? I guess we'll take a look at how to play. This game is very simple, super rules light. You'll begin the game by choosing a player color, and you'll get this completely useless card that's pretending to be a helpful tool. This player color only matters for endgame scoring and for some specific cards. You'll also all have a hand of 3 cards, so you can have some idea of patterns that you can create. These cards will be broken down into the pattern that you make and the number of points that they are worth. On your turn, you can do these 2 things. You can draw a card from the offer, this little row over here, or you can choose an element and move it into the city. Now you can only move elements that are touching specific spots. So for example, this red one could go here, or it could go here. It could not go over there because that little slice of pie is not touching it. Now you get 3 actions on your turn. So you could use all of your actions putting stuff into a city. If whenever you have placed stuff into the city, you score an arrangement, something that you have added contributes to this arrangement, you get to score these as points. If it was the beginning of my turn and those 2 were already out there, I could do this as my first action, boom, score those for 3 points. I am purple in this scenario, so I'm moving my purple space up 3 points on the track. I just got 3 points. I'm better than everyone. Then I could also, for my next 2 moves, put in this red and put in this red. I've now contributed to this pattern right here, and wouldn't you know it, I've scored myself 3 more points. 1, 2, 3. It's off to a bang of a start for purple. Everyone else is going to be left in the dust. Then it's the next person's turn. If I have run out of cards on my turn, well, luckily there's this row of cards. I can take these and put them into my hand. I can go 1, 2, 3. The row is, refilled whenever I do it, but it's only refilled at the end of my turn. So that's also what I could do on my turn. If I don't like anything that's up there, I can also take from the top of the deck as well. Now you'll see that eventually, through adding tiles, we might run out of tiles. Well, that's fine. We go boom, boom, boom. Luckily, we have this awesome stack of tiles in the middle. That's out of there. And then a new one appears. And it won't always be balanced as well. You'll see in this one, there will be no blue tiles that are coming. So it creates a little bit of variability about what's going to come out. You can't completely predict on having the right tiles that you want to be placing into the environment. You just have to do your best with what's been offered. Once we get to the end of this stack, the game is over. The person with the most points wins. Now, how scoring works is very similar to Knizia scoring, if you know what that is, in Tigris and Euphrates, but with a little bit of a twist. For this example, I've gotten 20 points here, 20 points here, and 6 points over here. I would get these 20 points, I would get these 20 points, and then I would get these 6 points times 3. So my total score would be 18 plus 20 plus 20, 58 points. Now red, on the other hand, has made it to 15 in all of the spots. Red gets 15 plus 15, which is 30, plus 15 times 3, so red gets 75 points to my 58. Even though I was ahead of red in 2 of the 3 places, red had a more diversified spread of points and therefore gets more. Also, this is where your player color comes in. You also score points for your largest contiguous group. So in this instance, purple would get 4 points because there's 4 purple that are touching. Red would get 2 points because this red one isn't touching, right? So purple would actually get to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, getting that extra bump, and red would get it to go 1, 2. That's very beneficial for purple because purple needed that boost, and now purple is at 70 points. Still not enough to pass red, but attempting it. Additional rules, you can see these tokens that are strewn out all near the edges. These tokens are bonuses, so whenever you place a tile there, I'm placing a blue tile here, let's say, I then get to take this token, goes into my personal supply, and these act as free actions. This one right here lets me place any token from the reserve wherever I want. I'm like, oh, I really need to make this. Boom, there you go. This one lets you have an extra action. This lets you draw 2 cards, and this one lets you place a token on the outside where normally you won't be allowed to place. You know how to play Neotopia. You know every single rule. Well, almost every single one. The only last closet case, which apparently I'm teaching everything now because you need to know everything completely. You can see there's a different variable scoring on this. Because it's 3 blue, because it will support that blue end game goals. If blue creates it, they only get 2 points. But if somebody else creates it, they get 4 points. So to kind of offset playing with different players, you're benefiting blue, but you're also benefiting yourself in this instance. The other rule that I talked about briefly was that if a card, and this is one of my favorite rules, this is what really elevates Neotopia in my opinion, and it's such a small thing, but it works really well, is that if a card has the same picture on it, you cannot play that same card right on top of it. Because generally these cards are going to sort of synergize with each other, and so I can't just hammer these all down. You have to play something different to change the picture, and then you can play that same. It's a small thing, but it really makes a wild world of difference. That's the game. That's it. And it's great. I was surprised at how great this game actually is. I thought, yeah, I understand Knizia scoring. I wasn't sure about scoring the points for the other ones as well, but I think that actually does make a really nice difference because you can push ahead. It gives you incentive to push ahead in one area near those final instances. I really love getting all of these tokens. You feel super powerful getting to kind of chain them all together. It makes placement on these 3 cities kind of like a game of chicken. Like, I don't want to put this purple here. I do because I want to set myself up for a place, but I don't want to put it there without being able to take this, which will give me an extra action, right? I don't want to leave this sitting there, or I don't really want to contribute to that, but I want to make sure that you don't get that. So I'm going to put that there just to take the action to use it. Or I'm going to stock up on these because each one of these is worth 3 points and could be the deciding factor in people's scores. The pieces themselves are super tactile. Like, the feel of these pieces is really nice. It's a high quality piece. I always find with games like this, games that are simple, kind of more abstract, you need that one showstopper. And for me, these pieces are it for sure. They're really satisfying to play around with. They're great to stack. It just really improves the tactile feel of this game. And this is a game that I thought would be perfect at 2 players. I thought, yeah, you're going to want to be head-to-head. You're going to be dividing and conquering. But I've played it all at all player counts, and I think the experience remains very consistent. In a 2-player, you're really battling it out for control of 2 of the 3 areas, right? It's that tense back and forth. You don't know, you know exactly that your opponent only has 3 moves. And so you can really suss out your opponent and place things that you know they can never get to and leave yourself those openings. At 4 players, I thought you would lose some of that tension, but you don't. A lot of the board is going to change, but because there are 3 places in which you can invest your time, when it gets back around to you, just enough opportunities have been open and have been presented to each other. The scores, I think, are a little bit less in a 4-player because you essentially lose 3 of these setup tiles. And so that's just 12 pieces that aren't out on the board. That's not that significant considering you're getting half as many turns, but that balances it out. I really like the pivot point in this game where you've been investing so heavily in this one area and you've got so many points, and then you look over here and you're like, oh, I haven't done anything over there. I need to get cards to go over there right now. I also like that it's a little bit of a race. You're incentivized to move up on these tracks because every time you hit a certain spot, you can get the additional tokens. It's the little things that, like, without these tokens and without this rule of stacking the cards, you couldn't stack the cards, I think this game would be pretty boring. But it's so wild how little things like this, extra bonuses, things that make you feel like you're doing cool things on your turn, really, really elevate the experience and help push the strategy forward. I've had a really good time playing this game, and it scratches that Azul itch for me, which is a really impressive thing to say considering how well regarded Azul is. I think this feels equally accessible, really high quality components and a high quality production at a really nice, affordable price, similar to Azul, and scratches that pattern laying itch. It also hits that denial itch for me as well. Although this, I think, is a lot more friendly than Azul, let's be clear. Yeah, really lovely game. The only thing that's stupid are these player aids, which they aren't player aids. It's just they give you these things where if you're having trouble counting to 3, you can move your little person around and go, I have 3 actions left, 2 actions, 1 action left, I'm done. It's so strange to me that they didn't feel the need to include, hey, choose one of, you have 3 actions, like use this as an actual player sheet. They just put, or on either side, you know what I mean? They're just like, no, you can, this is just so you can remember your color and nothing more than that. That's a missed opportunity, I feel, because when learning the game, it's nice to have a player aid. Like, why would you ever not turn this into a player aid, Arcane Wonders? I have no idea. But other than that, I think it's really slick. It impressed me that it plays so consistently with a satisfying experience across all player counts as well. That's something that I really like to see and is a big thing for me. And I think with most people having a large collection of games or specific people with whom they play games, I think player count is one of the most important things to consider. Other than that, I don't have too much more to say. Final rating is like a 4.5 out of 5. You know, it's not something that it's a seal of distinction for sure. And it's a very highly rated game. It's not something that I'm going to play all the time because it's lighter. It's a bit shorter, but the combo of the strategy, the different layers, the feel of the pieces. This is one that my partner really enjoyed playing and would actively play again. And she can sometimes be finicky about certain types of games, which she likes, but the pattern making is really satisfying. It feels really good to see the opening for a pattern that only requires one piece to set yourself up in that way. There's a little bit of nice competition between the cards, right? And drawing a card if a pattern is recognizable, and then the opponent can choose to put something in there to block it. Knowing what cards the opponents have in each other's hands is a fun aspect as well. If you're keeping track, you can keep track of their patterns and you can fight them in that way. This is a game that I think you can engage with as much strategy or as little strategy as you like. And I think it works really well as both. Arcane Wonders is a very solid company. They've been producing a lot of good stuff. And this is definitely a very nice surprise. I thought this wasn't going to be good. I did. I was like, it'll be fine. I thought it was going to be fine. You know what I mean? But I think it's actually quite nice and can exist alongside Azul in that same space. And I think that is pretty high praise. So there you go. That's it. Neotopia. This is what the box looks like. Don't forget about creating balance in those cities in 2055 or whatever the theme is. It doesn't matter. The only thing, it would have been a 5 if it included Neopets, but maybe that's the expansion. Thanks everybody for watching. My name's Chris George. In case you didn't know, I don't really have a catchphrase, so. Oh, I guess the ending of this video is going to be pretty awkward. So, Watch another one, I guess. However, to be a good citizen of the world of Neotopia, as you know, make these 3 different biomes, ya bitch, uh, you're going to